He was a Fey prince once, Eldrin Voss, the Starlight Heir of the Eternal Glade, a forbidden kingdom where loving a mortal was considered the highest treason. Before they dragged him before the court, stripped him of his crown, and hurled him from the heavens like a dying comet, they cast him out with nothing but shame and shattered wings, declaring his heart a betrayal to their immortal laws. She was just a lantern keeper named Lirael Thorne, a woman of quiet grace who lived on the mist-shrouded cliffs where the ancient jungle kissed the restless sea, the kind the world easily overlooked, the kind who lit lanterns for weary travelers and asked nothing in return. He was never supposed to survive the fall. She was never supposed to find the crater where starlight and blood met the earth. But love has never been very good at following the rules of kingdoms. In the smoking ruins of his descent, with his long raven-black hair streaked in ash, and his magnificent iridescent wings broken and torn, he lay barely breathing. His ice-blue eyes, once bright with celestial power, had grown dim with pain and defeat. Then she appeared, warm, sun-kissed, with flowing chestnut-brown hair and soulful hazel eyes full of gentle concern. Without a word, Lirael knelt beside the fallen prince, her touch careful yet unafraid, as if the laws of immortal kingdoms meant nothing to her. And in that single moment of unexpected kindness, everything changed. The Eternal Glade had never known mercy. Eldrin Voss stood before the celestial court as they pronounced his sentence, his raven-black hair whipping in the cold winds of judgment. His ice-blue eyes burned with defiance, even as they tore the crown of moonlight from his brow. For the crime of loving mortals, the High King declared, "You are exiled. Let the mortal realm consume what remains of you." With a single merciless push, they hurled him from the heavens. He fell like a broken star, wings of iridescent teal, aqua, and violet tearing against the violent winds. Pain ripped through him as ancient magic lashed at his body, cursing the very power that once made him untouchable. The ground rushed up to meet him. Trees splintered, earth cracked, and then silence. Eldrin lay in the smoking crater on the misty cliffs, his magnificent wings crumpled and torn at the edges. Blood seeped from gashes across his chest, glowing faintly with the last remnants of his starlight. His long dark hair clung to his sweat-dampened face. The proud Starlight Heir, once feared and revered, was now nothing more than a fallen exile, gasping for breath. Shame burned hotter than his wounds. He had known the laws. He had broken them anyway. And for what? A fleeting dream of love no immortal was allowed to taste. As darkness began to swallow his vision, a soft glow appeared through the trees. Lantern light, footsteps, a gentle presence knelt beside him. For the first time since his fall, Eldrin Voss was no longer alone. Lirael Thorne moved carefully down the misty cliff path, her lantern swaying gently in the night wind. The sea roared below as it always did, restless and eternal. She had walked this trail countless times, lighting the way for lost travelers, but tonight the air felt different, charged, as if the stars themselves had fallen. A faint glow caught her eye. Not moonlight, something warmer, broken. She found him in the crater, a being of impossible beauty and pain, tall and regal even in ruin, with long raven-black hair spilled across the scorched earth and magnificent butterfly wings crumpled behind him. His ice-blue eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly, filled with exhaustion and weariness. For a moment, neither spoke. Lirael knelt without fear, her hazel eyes soft with quiet concern. She saw the deep gashes across his chest, the way his wings trembled with every shallow breath. He was clearly fey, clearly dangerous, and yet, "You're hurt," she whispered, voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. She reached out and gently touched his shoulder. His skin burned beneath her fingers. The Fey Prince stared at her in disbelief. "You should run. I am exiled, cursed." Lirael shook her head, her chestnut-brown hair catching the lantern light. "I do not know your crimes, nor do I care for them tonight. Can you stand?" With great effort, Eldrin rose. She slipped her arm around him, bearing his weight even as his powerful frame threatened to overwhelm her. Step by painful step, she guided the fallen prince up the winding path to her small lantern house perched on the cliffs. For the first time since his exile, someone had chosen to help him. Inside the modest lantern house, the fire crackled softly as Lirael worked. She had helped Eldrin onto the simple bed, his tall frame nearly too large for it. With careful hands, she cleaned the jagged wounds across his chest and tended to his torn wings, her touch steady and gentle despite the strangeness of the being before her. Eldrin watched her in silence, his ice-blue eyes following every movement. The pain was immense, yet her quiet kindness unsettled him more than any wound. "Why?" he finally asked, his voice low and rough. "You do not know me. I could be dangerous. My own kingdom cast me out for loving mortals, and still you help me." Lirael paused, dipping a cloth into warm water. Her hazel eyes met his without hesitation. "Because I have seen enough cruelty in this world. If I can ease even a little of someone's suffering, I will. Kingdom laws and royal sins mean nothing to me here. You were broken and alone. That was enough." Eldrin's breath caught. No one had ever spoken to him with such simple honesty. He, who had once commanded stars and courts, now lay humbled by a mortal woman with sun-kissed skin and chestnut hair that glowed in the firelight. As she wrapped his chest wound, something deep inside him stirred, a warmth he had not felt since his fall. For the first time in his long, lonely exile, the Starlight Heir felt seen, not as a prince, not as a criminal, simply as someone worth saving. Days blurred into soft mornings and lantern-lit evenings. Eldrin's body healed slowly, but his heart was another matter entirely. From the window of the lantern house, he watched Lirael as she moved along the cliff paths. Her chestnut-brown hair danced in the sea wind, while she lit each lantern with patient care, guiding strangers through the dangerous mist. She carried heavy baskets without complaint, her sun-kissed face calm even when exhaustion lined her gentle features. Every evening she returned with small injuries, a bruise on her wrist, a cut on her hand. Eldrin's jaw tightened. He knew the marks came from her betrothed, that cruel merchant who claimed her as property. The sight stirred something fierce and protective inside him, a fire his exiled magic could barely contain. At night, when she thought he slept, Lirael would sit by the fire, quietly humming as she mended clothes or prepared herbs. There was such quiet strength in her, such kindness given freely, even while the world took from her. Eldrin's ice-blue eyes softened as he watched her. He had fallen from the stars themselves, yet this mortal woman, with her warm hazel eyes and gentle hands, was undoing him more completely than any court ever could. He told himself it was forbidden, dangerous, that he should leave before his love destroyed them both. But every time Lirael smiled at him, even softly, the fallen prince felt the walls around his heart crack a little more. He was falling, deeply, helplessly. A fierce storm raged outside, wind howling against the lantern house as rain lashed the cliffs. Inside, the fire burned low. Eldrin sat upright now, his wings folded carefully behind him, while Lirael prepared tea with steady hands. The silence between them had grown heavy, with unspoken words. Finally, he could bear it no longer. "Lirael," he said, voice deep and raw, "I must speak truth. In my forbidden kingdom, love between a Fey prince and a mortal is the greatest sin. They exiled me for it. Yet every day I spend here, I fall deeper for you. Your kindness, your quiet strength, you have brought light back into a soul I thought was dead." Lirael froze, her hazel eyes widening. A soft flush rose to her cheeks. She looked away, voice trembling. "You speak of stars and kingdoms I will never understand. I am promised to a man who owns me through debt and fear. He calls it betrothal, but it is chains. With you, I feel seen, truly free for the first time. But this love is dangerous, Eldrin. It could destroy us both." Eldrin rose slowly and crossed the room. He gently lifted her chin, his ice-blue eyes burning with intensity and tenderness. "Then let it destroy me," he whispered. "I have already lost one kingdom. I will not lose the only home I have ever truly wanted. Your heart." Outside, thunder rolled. Inside, two souls stood on the edge of something inevitable. The following evening brought rain and trouble. Eldrin stood hidden near the window, his body still healing. When the merchant arrived, the man was broad and coarse, reeking of ale and entitlement. He grabbed Lirael by the wrist, his voice loud and ugly. "You think you can delay forever, girl? The debt is mine to collect. You belong to me." Lirael winced but kept her voice calm. "Please, not tonight." The merchant's grip tightened, leaving fresh bruises on her fair skin. He shoved her against the table, knocking over a lantern. "You'll learn your place soon enough." From the shadows, Eldrin watched with clenched fists. His ice-blue eyes flared with ancient power. A low, dangerous growl rose in his throat as his tattered wings trembled. Rage, hot and celestial, surged through him. How dare this mortal filth lay hands on her, the woman who had shown him mercy when the entire world had turned its back? He wanted to step forward, to unleash the starlight still flickering in his veins, and burn the man to ash. But he held himself back, breathing hard. Interfering now would only bring the court faster. He had no right to destroy her life further. Yet as Lirael quietly endured the cruelty with silent dignity, something inside Eldrin shattered. He had fallen from the heavens, but it was watching her suffer that truly broke him. The betrayal came at dusk. Eldrin sensed it first, a ripple in the air, the distant echo of celestial magic hunting for him. He stepped outside the lantern house, wings half unfurled, when he saw the merchant storming down the cliff path with 3 armed men. "Over there!" the merchant shouted, pointing greedily. "The Fae bastard is inside. Take him and rid me of this trouble. The girl is yours too if you want her." Coin exchanged hands under the fading light. The merchant's laugh was bitter and satisfied. She was never worth the coin anyway. Lirael emerged from the house, just in time to hear everything. Her face paled, hazel eyes filled with shock and hurt. "How could you?" she whispered. Eldrin moved swiftly, pulling her behind him. His ice-blue eyes burned with fury and sorrow as he faced the approaching threat. The hunters were already close, silver armor glinting through the mist, sent by the Eternal Glade to drag him back in chains. The prince's heart twisted. All this time, he had tried to protect her by staying hidden. Now, his very presence had endangered the only person who had ever shown him true kindness. Lirael's hand gripped his arm tightly, fear and betrayal trembling through her touch. The storm of consequences had finally arrived, and this time there was nowhere left to hide. The hunters descended like silver death. Eldrin felt their celestial spears cutting through the mist. Without hesitation, he swept Lirael into his arms, her body pressed tightly against his chest. "Hold on to me," he commanded, voice fierce with love and desperation. The first hunter lunged. Eldrin spun, unfurling his tattered iridescent wings in a burst of broken glory. Teal and violet light shimmered wildly as he launched them both into the air, just as spears whistled past. "Run to me," he had cried only moments before. Now they flew. Lirael clung to him, heart pounding, as the ground fell away. Below, the merchant shouted curses. Above, the hunters pursued with merciless precision. A searing pain exploded across Eldrin's chest. A shadow-forged spear had struck true, tearing through flesh and magic near his heart. Glowing blood spilled into the twilight sky, like falling stars. He gasped sharply but did not slow. "Eldrin!" Lirael cried, terror in her voice. "I will not lose you," he growled through gritted teeth, wings beating harder despite the agony. "Not to them, not to anyone." His ice-blue eyes blazed with defiance as he flew them higher, away from the cliffs and the betrayal below. Every beat of his wings sent fresh waves of pain through his body. But he held her closer, shielding her with everything he had left, even if it cost him his life. On a hidden ledge high above the churning sea and misty jungle canopy, Eldrin collapsed to one knee. Lirael gently lowered him, her hands immediately pressing against the deep, glowing wound near his heart. Blood stained her fingers as she worked frantically to stop the bleeding. "Why?" she whispered through tears, her hazel eyes searching his face. "Why risk everything? Why save me when you knew loving me is forbidden?" Eldrin cupped her cheek with a trembling, bloodied hand. His ice-blue eyes shone with raw pain and devotion, his long raven-black hair clinging to his sweat-dampened skin. "Because in the Forbidden Kingdom I came from, love was controlled and punished," he said softly. "But you showed me something real. You fed me when I was dying. You gave me warmth when I had nothing left. I fell for your kindness, your quiet fire. The way you see me as more than a broken prince. I would fall 1,000 times more, just to know I am loved by you." Lirael's voice broke as she leaned closer, forehead resting against his. "I have never been chosen before, only owned. With you, I choose this love, even if every kingdom in existence forbids it." He drew her in gently. Their lips met in a deep, desperate kiss, filled with tears, pain, blood, and unbreakable hope. The sea winds swirled around them like a blessing as the last chains of two broken worlds fell away. Here, on this lonely ledge, they built their own kingdom, just the two of them,